Hey, it's Claudia, host of the show that you're listening to right now. Just popping in to tell you about our new revamped CityCast Portland membership program. Here's the vision. We're calling it CityCast Portland Neighbors because we learned that people who support CityCast Portland are people who care deeply about the city and want to make it better. And they're the kind of neighbors this city needs. So CityCast Portland Neighbors, it just made sense. We're also adding new benefits on top of ad-free listening and exclusive weekly roundups of local events. Now you also get regular happenings like happy hour hangouts, local volunteering meetups, and other members-only events where we explore and better our city together. Plus, you get to shout out a local business or nonprofit that you love on the show and in the Hey Portland newsletter. For only $10 a month, you can become a CityCast Portland neighbor today. Head over to membership.citycast.fm. That's membership.citycast.fm. Today on CityCast Portland, we're talking about Multnomah County's May 20th special election, the bonds, the boards, the baked goods. Just kidding. I wish there were baked goods. But we do have a breakdown of the gigantic PPS bond and a run-through of many of the other items on your ballot. Plus, we are digging into our mailbag and hearing from you, our listeners. Joining me on this midweek roundup is our very own executive producer, John Notarianni. It's Wednesday, May 14th. I'm Claudia Meza, and this is what Portland's talking about. Welcome, everyone, to our midweek microdose of news. John, thanks for joining me this morning.
Hello. Good morning, Claudia.
Today, we're going to do everyone a solid and help you sort out the May 20th special election. I know most of you have your ballots by now and are still like, what even is this? Because every special election, I'm always just like, I'm sorry, what now?
Yeah. Didn't we just do this in November?
Yeah.
Oh, wait. Yeah. It's been a long time.
But I swear this one is important. There's a new Portland Public School bond. There's another one from Mount Hood Community College, plus new members for various boards, including PPS, to consider. But before we get into election stuff, we have some big news to share. We've expanded our membership program with new benefits and a brand new name, because girl, gotta glow up. More details at membership.citycast.fm if you just want to jump ahead. But I'm going to quickly give you the highlights. CityCast Portland members are now CityCast Portland neighbors, because better neighbors make better cities, and the people who support this show really embody this sentiment. And I know this because I got to meet so many of you at our 503-day block party. And John, I know you also had a chance to chat with people because you were hanging out at our booth in your Paul Bunyan costume. But the thing I kept hearing was how much people appreciated having a way to celebrate and feel connected to our city. And it wasn't just the block party. They were just saying like, hey, I'm a regular listener. This is how I get my news. This is how I know what's happening. So this membership name change gets at what we've been hearing from you, that CityCast Portland makes the city feel more like a neighborhood. And when you join, you receive a neighbor-exclusive coffee mug as a thank you, which I want one myself, John.
Yeah, we'll get you a mug. I mean, there's a lot of perks that go along with being a Portland neighbor at this point. I mean, there's the coffee mug, also ad-free listening on the podcast, and you get a weekly roundup in your email of all of Portland's best events that we put together just for people who are members. And we're also going to start doing a lot more members-only events that you're going to be getting invitations to. You can come hang out with us and do happy hours and get out into the neighborhoods together. And we're also going to be giving all of you a chance to shout out a local business or a nonprofit in the podcast and newsletter that you love.
I love the new shout out that's being added because it feels like if you're listening, you're part of the show, you're helping make the content in a sense. I kind of like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, go sign up at membership.citycast.fm. That's membership.citycast.fm. Okay, let's break this bond down. I just wanted to say to other property tax adverse listeners out there not to fret because the tax rate on the PPS existing bond is scheduled to decline. Our tax burden wouldn't increase. And I just wanted to give that preface so people could listen with an open heart. Go on, John.
Yes, if this passes, taxes are not going up. Okay. So the big item that is going to be on your ballot, probably sitting in a pile of mail on your table right now, is this bond, $1.83 billion for Portland Public Schools. And if that sounds like a really big number, it is. The school district has been doing these bonds over the past 13 years or so. trying to modernize all of the schools in the district, which is awesome. But it's been getting more and more expensive each time. The sort of big chunk of this is about just under $1 billion for rebuilds or modernizations of Cleveland and Ida B. Wells high schools, as well as completing the reconstruction of Jefferson High School. If you're like, wait, didn't we already pay for that? Yes, we did, but it hasn't broken ground yet, and they're saying that they need more money to get this done. There's also a number of other things that are going to be in this bond. Over $300 million for things like technology improvements, curriculum upgrades, athletics programs, and then more than $300 million for upgrades to aging buildings, including seismic retrofits, which I'm sure we're going to talk more about. This has become a real hot button issue because everybody's like, oh, wait, a lot of these schools are unreinforced masonry buildings that are going to crumble during a Cascadia earthquake. The school board just really put out a resolution outlining the seismic upgrade process about a week ago. So yeah, there's a lot of money in this program. There's a lot of criticism surrounding it. I feel like there's a lot of people who like say this is absolutely essential, and there's a lot of people that aren't sure about this bond process. Before I get into some of the back and forth over what people are saying about this bond, Claudia, what's your first take on it?
Well, immediately, I'm just curious how the Black community is feeling about this bond. Because if you tuned into our news roundup with Lakiana Drury this past Friday, he laid out how PPS hasn't fulfilled projects that we voted in from its 2020 bond. And Lakiana specifically called out the Center for Black Student Excellence. And some of the parents from those students were just like, hey, how are we going to trust you with the new bond if you can't fulfill the 2020 bond?
Yeah.
And here's the deal is that PPS is just making more promises. They're like, no, see, with this bond. And I'm just like, girl, do you know what I mean? Like, it's just like, no, this time it's different.
It's more money. And they haven't been able to be super clear about exactly how this money is going to be spent, you know?
Yeah.
So people have really been pushing them for clarity on some of these points. And the district has said that they're going to be bringing more clarity after the bond has already passed.
See, what?
Yeah.
Come on.
I mean,
Come on.
I've never set a budget to spend $1 billion. I'm sure it's not as easy as being like, huzzah! And then with things like tariffs and delays and construction costs, like there are reasons that these costs are changing.
But like, it's the lack of clarity that so many parents have been complaining about with PPS. And that is the issue. And here's the deal. I don't have a horse in the race. All I am is a taxpayer. If I were a parent, I would be a little annoyed right now.
Yeah. And I think that criticism is pretty widespread. There's been some polling on it that says that voters are like a little bit shaky on whether or not they want to go for this. There's been a couple of really interesting rounds of endorsements on this as well. Willamette Week quite notably voted no on this.
Whoa.
Yeah, saying basically, like you said, quote, Portland voters deserve better than being asked to close their eyes and take a leap of faith. The other issue is that it's been said that if this bond passes, there's not going to be one for many, many years, you know, because we can't just keep piling money on for taxpayers like you, Claudia, and all of us. So it's sort of like the one shot. So Willamette Week's like, this isn't it. The Oregonian gave like a very timid yes. Then when this recent update about seismic retrofits came in, they gave a more full-throated one. And the Portland Mercury also voted yes on it.
Yeah, it's hard to say no to crumbling schools, I'll be honest, even with all this frustration. And also, John, when you're like, and me, that's the thing about these bonds is they're property taxes. So unless you own a home or property, they're not getting money from you.
Yeah.
Because John, you should be, everyone should be paying for this. This is bettering our entire community if children can read.
Yeah. But I do think these schools, some of them have been around for 75 years. They are in need of repairs. And like, this is the lever that the district has to be able to raise the money to do it. And I think that you can't look at any of these schools and say that they don't need repairs, that they don't need care and love and investment as well.
Yeah, well, brief rundown of the other things we're going to be voting on. The PPS bond isn't the only school bond on the ballot. Mount Hood Community College hasn't been able to pass a voter-approved bond since 1974, and they're trying yet again. They're asking that property owners living in their district area, which spans from East Portland to Government Camp, help raise the $136 million needed for seismic retrofits, and to also expand and renovate much-needed career path programs. Now, tax measures are historically very hard to pass in East County, where voters have less disposable income and they don't want to add to their bill load, which is why I think having public education bonds funded solely by property owners lacks kind of vision and understanding in the world that we live in. It's just not sustainable, literally, in this economy, not just because it's unfairly burdening some, but also it's unfairly unburdening others. More people should be paying. There could be more money spread out, and it doesn't have to just be 246 or 300 or 400 on one single household or one property. The fact that Mount Hood Community College hasn't been able to pass a bond since 1974 because of this, it doesn't feel like it's working out. That's all. Eastern counties are also the districts where technical schools would thrive and are needed. Honestly, if I could pitch in all the way from St. John's, I would, but that's not my district. My district is the one already sitting on money that hasn't been spent from the previous bond and is asking for more. And this is why who's on these boards matter, which is a segue, because there are seats open on school district boards in Beaverton, Centennial, Corbett, David Douglas, Gresham Barlow, Park Rose, Portland, Reynolds, and Riverdale. So if you're outraged by anything we've said today, go vote for new people on these boards, or at least learn the names of the people already on these boards.
Yeah.
Same with community colleges like Mount Hood Community College and PCC. They have several spots opening up on their district boards. There are even district positions up for grab in the Multnomah Education Service Districts, which is the agency, I had learned this, that provides services to multiple school districts. So go see who's on that board. Lastly, there are seats open on fire and water district boards, which include director positions in the Urban Flood Safety and Water Quality District. And that might not sound that sexy, but these are people that are in charge of managing our flood safety infrastructure, adapting to climate change, developing funding methods for how to do this, which is what boards do, and responding to emergencies, to name just a few of their core tasks. So if you want more info on what's provided in your voter pamphlet, because I know sometimes people don't get their information in soon enough, good nonpartisan resources are Portland's League of Women Voters, sites lwvpdx.org or vote411.org. I've definitely leaned on those.
Yeah, I mean, and it's interesting, especially looking at the Portland School Board, the candidates are talking a lot about these exact issues. They're talking about fiscal responsibility. They're talking about how we take care of kids. They're talking about how we prioritize spending. So this isn't just an intellectual exercise. And, the majority of the Portland School Board is up for a vote right now. So if it's something that you really care about, you can make a difference.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's take a quick break here. And when we return, we're digging into our mailbag. Are you ready to vote in the May 20th special election? You'll be deciding on bonds to improve safety and update facilities at Portland Public Schools and Mount Hood Community College. You'll also be choosing directors to serve on local school boards, fire and water district boards, and the Urban Flood and Water Safety Board. And as we all know, who heads these boards is important. But if you're still deciding, the League of Women Voters is an excellent resource. Visit vote411.org and lwvpdx.org, where they have ballot measure explanations, candidate info, video interviews, and for the most contested races, there are actually recordings in which candidates or advocates debate the issues. Your vote is your voice. Make it count. Visit vote411.org and lwvpdx to inform your vote.
Hi, I'm David Plotz, the CEO of CityCast. We've all set health goals: lose weight, exercise more, eat better. But without a plan, those goals often fade. That may have happened to you. It has definitely happened to me. And that's where Prolon comes in. Prolon's 5-day fasting mimicking diet gives you a science-backed, structured approach to stay on track and see real results. And now Prolon is upping their game with the new Next-Gen 5-day program, delivering the same science-backed benefits in a cleaner, more convenient, and more flavorful format. Prolon is a plant-based nutrition program featuring soups, snacks, and beverages designed to nourish the body while keeping it in a fasting state, triggering cellular rejuvenation and renewal. Next-Gen builds on the original Prolon with 100% organic soups and teas, a richer taste, and ready-to-eat meals. Developed over decades at USC's Longevity Institute and backed by top U.S. medical centers, Prolon has been shown to support biological age reduction, metabolic health, skin appearance, fat loss, and energy. I've been doing the 5-day program, and I feel so much better. I really enjoy the tasty energy bars, the snacks and soups, and the fact that I can enjoy meals, even though the calorie count is super low. The flavors and textures are excellent. an olive oil snack here, broccoli and quinoa soup there, hibiscus tea, a yummy nut bar. It's got the benefits of a 5-day fast, but doesn't have the challenge of doing it with pure liquids. It's a system reset. And also, I know this sounds funny, but it's not. The packaging and directions are fantastic, clear and well organized and thoughtful. For a limited time, you can be first in line to experience the new Next Gen at special savings. Prolon is offering CityCast listeners 15% off site-wide, plus a $40 bonus gift when you subscribe to their 5-day program. Just visit prolonlife.com/city. That's PROLONLIFE.com/city to claim your 15% discount and your bonus gift. prolonlife.com/city. This episode of CityCast is sponsored by Babbel. Learning a new language opens the door to new friends, new cultures, maybe even a whole new life. So why not start the journey today with Babbel? You can start speaking a new language with confidence thanks to Babbel's conversation-based technique. It quickly teaches you useful words and phrases about the things you actually talk about in the real world. There are more than a dozen languages available for you to learn at your own pace, with material tailored to your individual proficiency level, interests, and time availability. I'm David Plott, CEO of CityCast, and I've been learning Spanish with Babbel and brushing up a teeny bit on my French. But there's also Turkish, Swedish, Dutch, German, many more languages. Babbel's tips and tools for learning a new language are approachable and accessible. It's like having a private tutor in your pocket. I particularly love Babbel's guided conversations, which let me practice real-world conversations. What to say at the doctor's office, how to leave a party, using speech recognition to make sure I'm getting the pronunciation right. Babbel's mobile app and website have real-time feedback, progress trackers, and clear visualizations. They're helping me improve my Spanish in only 10 minutes a day. So get talking with Babbel. I want you to learn another language, so I'm teaming up with Babbel to gift you 55% off subscriptions, but only for CityCast listeners at babbel.com/citycast. Get up to 55% off at babbel.com/citycast. Spelled BABBEL.com/citycast. Babbel.com/citycast. Rules and restrictions may apply.
All right, Claudia, before we get into the mailbag, I wanted to take a minute to talk about the CityCast Portland Neighbors program that you mentioned at the top of the show. And like you said, I met so many people at 503 Day. I shook a lot of hands. I continued the conversations that we were having on the show in real life. And it just really felt like we were a part of a community, you know? And I love that this show is a part of everyone's daily life who listens, but this doesn't just happen. It's important to us to be able to put this podcast and newsletter out there to people for free, but this is still a business. And we rely on support from people who listen to this show to make sure that CityCast Portland sticks around and that we can get this kind of information out there into the community, information about how people are going to vote, as well as just shining a light on things that are joyful. I feel like that's a big part of what we do too. And all of that just really does require support from people. So if you love this podcast and you want to support it, I'm asking for your help. Head over to membership.citycast.fm, and we would really love for you to become a Portland neighbor.
Thank you, John, for breaking that down. All right, let's jump over to the mailbag.
Yeah.
You want to do the first one? I think you should, because I think you got some explaining to do.
Yeah, so this is from Jeff, noting on a goof that we made the other week. We were very tired after 503 Day, y'all, and we were putting together an episode about the Richmond neighborhood, and somehow it escaped our attention that we said Richmond was in Southwest. We know it's not in Southwest. We know that it's in Southeast. Well, a lot of you reached out letting us know that we gotten that wrong. Jeff, in particular, wrote in, said, "The intro threw me off. Not the first or last note that you'll get on this, correct. But you cannot slander Richmond by calling it Southwest. I would rather be dead in Richmond than alive in Southwest."
I just feel like this was our mistake. Literally touched every one of us. We all QC each other, and it touched every single person. We were just did not hear John say it. We didn't see any of it. So I just want to apologize to Southwest, because now they're catching strays, which is not cool. We thought it was hilarious because we know Jeff is clearly joking, but still, man, I do want a Southeast, Southwest kind of turf war now. And I hope that this was the spark.
It's on, yeah.
Well, I have one from Ruth about the banana mural episode where you and Rachel Saslow spoke about, I think it might be the oldest now, street art mural in Portland. So she wrote, "Hi, with regards to the banana mural, I wish Portland adopted murals like this. A number of town councils in England have introduced protection laws to preserve the Banksy stencils that have popped up all over British towns. Cultural heritage is a protected interest according to the United Nations. Also, thanks for explaining the Leroy block. I pass it every day on my way home from picking up my grandson from school. He stops and reads it out loud. It makes him smile. Makes me smile too. We always say, thanks, Leroy, as we walk by. As always, love your show."
I love that.
Isn't that sweet?
That's such a great idea. Yeah.
I think that was you explaining the Leroy block too, because I hadn't heard of it either.
Yeah. Once you know the story and you pass by that mural, it really is just like, oh,
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to jump in with another one with a good idea from Jessica. Jessica says that she loves the emails and the podcast, but has the idea of sharing one good news item or fact about Portland each week, which I kind of love. Here's Jessica's idea. My husband and I went swimming in the Willamette River last summer. It was one of those Duckworth Dock Wednesday DJ nights. It was glorious, packed with people having a good time. Most of my friends do not know that you can now swim in the river and that it has been cleaned up. Yay. Thanks for all you guys do. Oh, thanks, Jessica. Claudia, you're a big river swimming booster as well, I feel like.
Yeah, here's the deal. We had a whole river week. I'm trying to think, maybe her idea is just to put one on the Friday roundup, because that's when we get into the headlines. And maybe we could do that. But I feel like we do speak very well about Portland, if anything. The 503-day block party was kind of a big physical manifestation of that. We actually got some notes from that party. So here's Ben. He wrote, "Hello, I'm a regular listener of the show. I love your coverage of all things Portland and greatly appreciate your work. Thanks for doing it. I'm writing to say two things. One, congrats on a successful 503 day. My partner and I were down there hanging out and had a fantastic time. How dope was that karaoke? Free library singing Zeppelin was amazing," which, by the way, what a funny sentence if you have no idea what he's talking about. We had a costume contest. Someone dressed up as a free library. She was amazing. And she really freaking brought it down.
So good.
I think it was Whole Lotta Love. And number two, the ask is, why did the city councilors have bags of nacho cheese Doritos during the proclamation? Thank you, Ben.
The never-ending Dorito question.
We got a lot of these. Like, what's going on? So you want to explain, John, what happened in the proclamation?
Yeah. So I didn't connect the dots on this at the moment, but it was actually a callback to something that we discussed on the show back from basically the first city council meeting of this iteration of the council when they were trying to elect a president. The meeting went so long that there was reporting from Willamette Week about the snacks that they were all eating, and that Councilman Eric Zimmerman was seen eating Doritos, which we got a lot of joy out of on this show back in January. Well, this was sort of a callback to the Dorito obsession that we'd had on the snacks that the city councilors were eating.
It took me a while. Like, you actually had to explain it to me, because when all the questions came in, I was like, yeah, why were they all eating Doritos? And I just remember Eric being like, we have a bag for you too.
He gave me a bag. I thought I just looked really hungry, which I was. And I was like, thank you. These Doritos saved my life.
I never found my bag.
Oh, no.
All right. Well, this one is very sweet. This is another 503-day block party note. This is from Lori and Mark. Greetings from New Jersey. We have been fans of CityCast Portland since our daughter moved to Portland 2 years ago. In fact, we are founding members of CityCast Portland. We love everything Portland and visit as often as possible. Unfortunately, we're not able to make it to the block party for the totally real 503-day holiday, but we're with you in spirit as we do our best to celebrate 503-day from the East Coast. And attached is a picture from our celebration. And I just got to tell you guys, this picture is amazing. There were beers from local breweries like Gigantic and Brewhouse, a bag of Ore-Ida crispy tater tots, Tillamook ice cream, and an adorable Tillamook cheddar block stuffy with just had these little legs and a smile. It was very cute. And then he finished off by saying, love the podcast and happy to have another holiday to celebrate.
Aww.
Thank you, Lori and Mark. Loved the picture. We shared it amongst ourselves.
It was very delightful. It was fun sort of picking through it and like seeing all the products because there's a lot of snacks in there. Well, I've got one more that is also incidentally tater tot focused. This is from Damien, and I'm guessing this is a response to an in-person conversation that you had at 503 Day, Claudia. That's sort of the vibe I'm getting.
Possibly.
Just in case Claudia shares my inability to retain information verbally and has to read it, I just want to say how disappointing it was that there were no edible, non-plushy tater tots at this event. For the record, Claudia promised tots and tachos next time. I mean, I think the gauntlet has been thrown. There needs to be tater tots at 503 Day 2026. It is non-negotiable.
Damien, I hope you're listening. Damien, who, by the way, is the first winner of the first raffle of the first 503 Day and a founding member, which he wrote, no big deal. I need you to know, Damien, that I did not forget. And did I not, John, bring this up? We had a wrap-up meeting and I literally was just like, hey, FYI, we need tater tots.
And several people at CityCast were like, oh no, how could that oversight have happened for us not to have tater tots to eat at 503 Day?
Yeah. Well, thank you everyone for writing in. We love getting your emails. Before we head out, we wanted to celebrate our newest CityCast Portland neighbors. I think John's got that list. You want to throw it in?
Yeah, we have already actually heard from so many of you. I promise that we will get coffee mugs out to all of you very soon. But just such a heartfelt thank you to Penny M, Heidi G, Sean R, Scott W, Terry R, Brian W, Keegan C, John M, Matthew A, and Alexandria P. And if you would like to join them, get yourself a CityCast mug, become a CityCast Portland neighbor, go to membership.citycast.fm. That is membership.citycast.fm.
Well, thank you so much, John, for hanging out with me. And thank you, everyone, for listening. I hope you have a good rest of your week, everyone. It's just Wednesday.
Thanks, Claudia.
Well, that's all for today here on CityCast Portland. Thanks so much for listening. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more from around the city. Until then, see you at Slim's.